Okay, I have a job to do. It seems like I always have a job to do. But anyway, this one today has to do with equipment repair. And it happens to be today is my golf cart. So this as far as like utility vehicles are concerned, that type of thing, this was the very first thing that my wife and I got for our farm was a golf cart, and it worked great for us for a long time. Mainly, we just use it to run back and forth to the barn and out to the pasture to feed the horses, and different stuff around. We have a wagon that we can put on the back of it, and my wife would use it for a lot of years. Just weeding around the house and just all the various things that you would use it for. And this has been great. We got it used from a golf course that was getting rid of their fleet of golf carts, and we picked it up used. It was about 4 years old when we got it, and we have had this thing. I want to say we've had this thing 17, 18 years. And it's had various things that's needed to be done to it over the years, of course. Batteries are the biggest thing, and certainly the most expensive thing that you have to do to them. I also lifted it, and I put a top on there that can be rolled up and rolled down in the wintertime, and you can kind of enclose that cab. And the bed I put on the back, and we also put that's actually called a clay basket, but I put that on the front. We could use that to throw tools and stuff like that in it. But for the most part, it's been good. But a lot of things have come up over the years that have to be addressed on it. And I've come across another one that needs to be addressed. And I'm hoping that I have found the issue. And what it has to do with is this area right here where you plug the charger in. It actually has a switch that's underneath this cover right here. And what happens is when you plug the charger in, there's a switch that activates underneath there. It will disable the electrical system on the golf cart and will allow the charging process to take place. And so essentially what that is a safety feature, so that if the charger is plugged in, somebody can't get in it and try to drive the golf cart away with the charger connected to it. Why you would do that, I don't know, but obviously somebody did, and it was a reason for them to put a safety feature in there. I had a problem with that switch was malfunctioning, and it's just a small switch that opens and closes with electrical power, of course, and I was getting it to inadvertently activate when I was just out using this thing. We could have been down the driveway or out in the back on one of our trails or doing something like that, and that switch in there would activate and it would kill the golf cart. And then it was stuck, and I would have to get something to go back there and get it. We get the tractor, or we get, we have a Honda Pioneer that we use around here for the most part now, but we would have to get something to go recover this thing. And I was using the old hammer method there for a while. I could tap this thing, and I could get that switch to reactivate and get it to start operating again. But eventually it got to a point where it was just corroded, and I could get it to work sometimes, but most of the time it wouldn't. And so what I did is I opened up this cover, and I found the two wires that were coming into that switch, and I just bypassed the switch. I just spliced the two wires together. And I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm a golf cart mechanic or know all that much about them. I know as much as I need to know when it comes time for me to fix something. And so I thought I was a genius when I bypassed that switch. And I thought, great, it's not going to just die on me inadvertently anymore. And it was working great, right up to the point where I needed to charge it. And so with me bypassing that switch, what I did inadvertently, and I didn't realize it, is I disabled the ability for the golf cart to charge. So in other words, I took away the feature of when you put the charger in, it normally kills the electrical system and allows the charging to take place. Well, when I bypassed it, I bypassed that feature. So in other words, I got it to run great, and it wouldn't inadvertently stop on me but I disabled the charging feature. So I could have went back in there and made that bypass. I could have made it where I could plug it and unplug it for the charging aspect of it. And then I said, you know what? Let me just see how much a new receptacle costs, a whole new system right there. So I did. I went to my favorite little golf cart place, and they had one. So here it is. So that is going to be my job today, is I need to take this one out, the old one out, and I need to put the new one in. And it's pretty simple. There's just a few lines in here that have to be connected. The power runs through this conduit. I have one that comes to this battery. That white line comes to this battery, and I have another one that comes over here to this one. And then I have one that's underneath this cover right here that I have to plug in. So that is going to be the job today, is put a new charging receptacle in my golf cart. This is a 1997 EZGO TXT. So it doesn't have an hour meter or anything like that on it. I have no idea how many hours this thing has on it, but like I said, it was 4 years old when we got it, and they had it at a golf course, and you know how golf carts are at golf courses, they wear them out pretty good. And then like I said, we've had it about 17-18 years now, so it's old, it's kind of run down, but it works for us. And I like to have this around because, you know, if my wife and I are using either the Honda or this, it's nice to have another one of these around that we can do stuff with. So I like to just keep it running and see if I can fix all the little things that come up on it. So anyway, what I got to do is I got to drill these pop rivets out right here, undo the electrical connectors, pull this one out, and put the new one in. So let's do it. Let's get my favorite golf cart back up and running. Okay, that's everything. So very simple, just the white one, the black one, and this red one that goes down here to this controller. And now I just got to get the pop rivets out and see if I can replace it. Okay, so in order to get this receptacle off, I have to drill these rivets out. These are pop rivets that are put in there with a gun or a pneumatic squeezer. If this was put on at the factory, they probably used a pneumatic squeezer to squeeze these rivets down. But I need to drill this head off. So let's see if I can do that. There's a steel stud that's down in the middle of that. That's what squeezes the rivet together. Sometimes that creates a little bit of a problem because you can hardly drill right through that stud. But if I can get the head off, then I'll be able to punch it through the other way. So let's see what we can come up with here. Okay, those came out good. So yeah, you just drill the head of these things off to the point where you can just tap it all the way through and it breaks the head right off. So, Pop Rivets 101 right there. And it has a little tail in the back. Just clean that up. Okay, good. So now what I'll have to do is put the new one in, and I have some pop rivets, so I'm gonna put some back in there again. So let me see what I can come up with. Okay, so now I've got the old one out. I've got the new one put back into place here, and so what I want to do is fasten this in place. I could get some bolts, I guess, and put them back in there. Put a nut and a washer on the back side. It would be easy enough to do, but I do have some pop rivets. That's what I took out of there, and I have some. So what I need to do is find the proper diameter and also the proper length for the thickness. Not only the thickness of this, but also the thickness of this faceplate. So I could bring a bunch of pop rivets out here and start shoving them in the hole and look at them and see if I can find one that's long enough, or I could pull out this trusty scale right here. And what this is a grip length scale. You can use this for all kinds of different fasteners. You can use it for bolts, you can use it for rivets, you can use it for, and there's a lot of different kinds of rivets. But anyway, this is a grip length scale, and the way that this works is that you can see that it has a little hook down here on the bottom. This is in 1/16 inch increments, and the way that this works is I will put this in the hole. I will take this little hook right here and I'll hook it on the back side. See if you can see that. So there it is right there, and what I do is I hook it on the back side, and then I come out here and I look at that measurement. This faceplate is slightly recessed, but anyway, it's about a 6. Okay, so that tells me what the thickness of that material is. So now I know essentially what the grip is, or the minimum of the length of the rivet that I need. Now with a rivet or a pop rivet, you're going to need it to be slightly longer than that 6 reading, because I need that rivet to draw up and create a tail. And so what I'll do is I'll come over here to my fasteners in here, and I will see if I can find a rivet that's at least a 6, but it needs to be slightly longer. So let's see what we can find. Okay, so I found my rivets. That is a pop rivet, and just to show you once again how this gauge works, I determined before that it was a number 6 on the grip length when I put that in there earlier. And so now to determine that this rivet is going to be the correct length, what I do is I put it on that scale like that, and I can see that this rivet is around a number 9. Okay, so it's obviously longer than the 6, and that's what I'm going to need to allow this to draw up. So when I go to squeeze this, this whole thing is going to get drawn up, and it's going to create a tail, and it's going to squeeze the material together, and that should hold it in place. Now I would have preferred that the head that I had on this had a little bit larger diameter. This is a little bit smaller than what I'd like, but that's what I had, so that's what I'm going to use. And so what I'll do is use that trusty tool. I'll put the rivet in there like that. I'll squeeze it. This whole thing will get drawn up, and it should hold this in here pretty tight. Okay, we got those in there. So anyway, those some of these pop rivets, when you get those, what happens is it's got these splines on there, and what happens is this tool grabs those splines and it starts to pull it tighter and tighter and tighter. And depending on what the rivet is made out of, this gun right here just doesn't have enough leverage. At least I wasn't able to pull it. So I just came up with, I just put a couple bars on the end of it so that so I could get it pulled tight enough. I had 2 bars on there like this so that I could get it pulled tight enough, and that's what it took to actually pop those in place. And you hear that pop that it makes. That's why we kind of affectionately refer to them as pop rivets. But anyway, these manual ones, they're good as long as you're not using a fastener that's too big. That fastener that I was trying to use there was actually a little bit too hard to try to use with one of these handguns. They do make pneumatic guns. You hook them up to an air compressor and you just come up to it and it has a lot more force, and it'll usually squeeze it a lot better. But anyway, that put it in there. It's fine. It's not going anywhere. And on the back side, you can see that it makes a tail on there. You can see it right there. So it just basically squeezes that whole material together, and then it pops off that stud, and then the stud will just drop out. So anyway, pop rivets 101. They're good for little jobs like this, but sometimes having one of those pneumatic squeezers would be a lot better. All right, so let's finish hooking this up, and then I've got to charge this, and let's see if I fix my problem. Okay, so I'm running this thing over here, and that stud is bigger than that connector rim. Alright, so I'm going to have to change out this connector rim. Alright, so let me go get what I need to do that. There's always a little something. Always, always, always. This one over here fits. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that one on. This one has a fuse on it that I didn't have on the other one. So, alright, let me change out that fuse, or this connector right here. Alright, I did not have a connector that size that would fit over that stud. Plan B, like always. Alright, improvise and overcome. Alright. Got those on there. Okay, I got that in there. That's nice and secure. And I routed the line down through there. I got the white one on. I had to open up that connector a little bit. The red one goes up underneath this cover. The black one is on here. My other one did not have this small fuse on it, so I'm just going to assume that these golf cart people know what they're talking about when they gave me this one. And one other thing, anytime I have the seat off, that I like to do, I like to make sure that these connectors do not have any corrosion on them. That is the biggest thing that I deal with on this golf cart anyway, is that these connectors get corroded. They will usually end up corroding out the ends of these cables. And these cables actually go out more frequently than the batteries do. So, and then the other thing I do is I put a battery terminal protector on there. This stuff is a corrosion preventive. Comes out kind of red looking. Just put a little bit on there, and I always make sure that I have plenty of that stuff on there, and it does a pretty good job. So while I'm under here doing all this stuff, just put that stuff on there too. Alright, so we should be good now. My batteries are dead on this. So I've got to get it out of this hole that I have down here by the basement, because I don't have a power connector back here to plug my charger in. So I'm going to have to get it taken up to the garage where my charger is, and I've got an outlet that I can use. You do not want to use extension cords when using battery chargers. That is an absolute no-no. Those battery chargers draw enough power that most extension cords cannot handle the amperage draw, and the power or the extension cord will actually catch on fire, and that can also cause the charger to catch on fire as well. So you need to take a battery charger for golf carts. They need to plug directly into an outlet. Do not use an extension cord. So I'm going to need some help getting this thing out of this hole that I'm in right here. So let me see if I can go get Mamacita Senorita to help me get this thing out of this hole and get it pushed up to the garage. All right, that's one way of doing it. Now we got it in the garage. I'll put the charger on it, and let's see if this fixed my problem. Okay, so I ran into another issue here. So I got my adapter put in down here, my new adapter, charging adapter. I ran all the wires. Of course, you saw me do all that. And then I brought it up to the garage. I hooked my main golf cart charger to it, and it still would not charge. And this wouldn't even come on at all. And so then you have one or two things that you're dealing with there. It's either the charger itself, or I possibly had some problems with my batteries. So the cheaper way to, well, neither one of them are actually cheap. It's either get a new charger or replace the batteries. They're both very expensive. New chargers are about $500. A new set of batteries is about $650 to $700. So neither one of them are very inexpensive options, but I needed to find out what the deal was. I put the charger in my car and I took it by my golf cart place and had them test it. The charger was fine. So now that only leaves my batteries. Now the other option that you have is the fact that this thing had sat for a long time. The batteries were completely discharged on it. In fact, you saw that I had to push it into the garage because it just had no power on the batteries at all. So with completely dead batteries, it's a safety feature on these chargers is that they will not come on. So it's very possible that the charger wasn't coming on because the batteries were so depleted that the safety feature was kicking in and it wasn't allowing it to charge. Now there is one other option that you have if that happens to you, and that is that you can put just a regular battery or a regular car battery charger on here, and you can try to bring the level of the charge of those batteries up just enough to give it a residual charge, enough to where when you plug the main charger in, then it'll kick on and go ahead and do the rest of the charging. And the way that you do that, as far as putting the car battery charger on there, is you just get your trusty car battery charger. I have one of these. It's a 10 amp, so it charges pretty quickly. And so this is a 36 volt golf cart, which means that I have six 6-volt batteries. And so you can do this one of two ways. If you have a battery charger that does a 6-volt or a 12-volt option, I can charge one battery at a time if I put it on 6 volts, or if I put it on 12 volts, then I can charge 2 batteries at a time. And so the way that you do that, if I'm going to leave it on 12 volts on my battery charger, and I'm going to charge 2 batteries at a time, what I'll do is I'll go to my positive lead, which I have right here on this battery. I'll put my charging lead on there, and then I'll go over to the second battery and I'll go to the negative lead over there. So now what I have is 2 6-volt batteries that are connected, positive and negative, and I can charge those 2 batteries at the same time. 2 6-volt batteries charging up to 12 volts. And then after I'm finished with these 2, I can switch it to those 2, and then ultimately these 2. So just positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. And then all you're trying to do is just put enough voltage on those to where you can get a residual voltage, enough residual voltage within this bank of batteries to where your main battery charger will kick in. And that's what I was doing. And then come to find out, what I had was 3 of my batteries would not take a charge off of my car battery charger. And so I was getting a residual voltage off of this one. That one would only give me no more than about 1.5 volts. I would get normal voltage off of those 2. And then these 2 over here, I couldn't bring it up past about 2 to 3 volts. So what happened was, out of my bank of batteries that I had in there, 3 of them were bad. And so that's why my main battery charger was not kicking on. So anyway, just as a point of interest for those of you that have golf carts, this is a way that you can put a residual voltage on it. If they are so depleted that your main battery charger will not kick on, you can use your car battery charger to bring them up to speed. And like I said, you can do it 6 volts at a time, or you can hook them up like this and do 12 volts at a time. Of course, this is a 36 volt golf cart, so 6 volt batteries. Now those of you that have 48 and 72 volt golf carts, then obviously you won't have 6 volt batteries. You'll only have 12 volt batteries. But anyway, that's how you can do it. Contrary to popular belief, you do not have to take all of these cables off and isolate this system in order to do that. You can leave everything connected, and you can do it just like this and it works perfectly fine, and it doesn't hurt anything to do it like that. But that's an option that you have if you have a severely depleted bank of batteries in your golf cart to the point where your main battery charger will not come on. You can put a residual charge on them like this to the point where you can hopefully get your main battery charger to kick on. So anyway, that's like I said, that's what I tried with my old bank of batteries and found out 3 of them were bad. So what we're looking at here is I ended up having to put 6 brand new batteries in there. And for anybody that has a golf cart and you're watching this video, maybe because you're having this problem, you know as well as I do that is probably the most expensive thing that you have to deal with on golf carts is these batteries. They are very expensive. $100 a piece. In my case, I ended up paying about $110 a piece for these. I used to be able to get these years ago for right around 80 or 90 a piece, but not anymore. So it's very expensive to have to replace that entire bank of batteries. That's why I was hoping it wasn't going to be that, but it ended up that it was. So anyway, I put all the new batteries in there now, and then of course when I put my charger on, everything came on and worked just the way that it was supposed to. I got it all charged up, and I'm back in business again. So you know, it was like I told you before, earlier part of this video, that, you know, this is an older golf cart. I'm just trying to keep it running. I really don't want to put a lot of money into it. I really waited. I'm doing this portion of this video about 2 weeks after my first portion of this video, because I really sat there and contemplated whether or not I wanted to put the money into this thing to keep it running. Then I just said, nah, to heck with it. I'll put these batteries in, and you know, if I can get 3-4 years out of it and don't have to worry about it again, then I do like having the golf cart around. You know, I made a video a while back. Our Honda Pioneer right there is our main utility vehicle that we use around our property now. So the golf cart is, you know, really kind of taken a back seat since we bought that Honda Pioneer. But I do like to keep it going. And so anyway, it's back up running now, and hopefully I don't have any more issues. So the new adapter that I put in, you know, I originally thought that was my problem. I may not have needed to have put this in, but I don't mind doing it because it was only $100 to replace this, and plus I had taken the old one apart and shorted it out so that this thing would stop quitting on me the way that it was previously. So putting a new one in there wasn't going to hurt anything. So anyway, we got it all back together now. Everything's working fine, and hopefully I don't have to put any more money in this thing anytime soon. If I do, then my next video that I'm going to do that's related to this golf cart is going to be me taking it out back and crushing it with my excavator, which that would be kind of fun to do. But anyway, it's working now.